Welcome to this edition of Transformation Thursday. As always, we are so grateful, so thankful that you have thought it good to join us for this discussion. We are grateful. Before we start, I want to again, as always, welcome Dr. Christopher Chappelle. Welcome, Chris. We're going to jump into our conversation, our discussion for today. One of my favorite stories in the Bible is the story of Noah. God instructs Noah to build an ark. But he does so at a time when this had never been done before. It had never rained before. He gave him the instructions at a time where doing something like this just didn't make a whole lot of sense. Didn't make sense to build a boat when it had never rained before, when there had never been a cloud in the sky before. And likewise, it doesn't make sense sometimes to start a business in a certain type of climate. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to write that thing or to invent that something that no one needs. Doesn't make sense to quit a job that is paying you well to do that full-time entrepreneur thing that you've been called to do. Doesn't make sense to start all over again. But God just might be calling you to do something that has never been done before. To go somewhere that others are afraid to go, to start something that just might not make sense. He may be asking you, he might be asking me to build a boat. Recently, I was in a conversation meeting with the Secretary of the Florida Department of Commerce. And he made a statement that you may have heard before, but the statement stuck with me. He said, 85% of the jobs of the future don't exist today. God is saying to you, saying to me to build the boat. Don't wait for the perfect situation or the perfect environment. Don't wait for everyone to be on board or for everything to align just perfectly. Do it now. But not only does he say to build a boat, but he says, build a big boat. Build it big because God can do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we can ask or think. Build a big boat for the whole world to see. Build it big. It's often said that if your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough. Chris, I want to pause right there and just ask you the question, how do we build that big boat?
The big boat is first built by belief. You have to believe that it's possible, even if you don't. You never seen it before, it never happened before. Even like just take for instance, talking about the jobs of the future, that don't currently exist in this moment. But the belief that is possible first must exist before it's manifested, right? Mm-hmm. It's like this. We often talk about how things are created. The first part of creation happens in the mind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? And once you have the creation in your mind, then we know that it's possible if we continue to use the faculties that God has given us to work towards that expected end, right?
Right. Right.
Going through iterations, but again, the only way that it has to start by belief and using your creativity. You are made, and we are all made in the image of God and his likeness, and his likeness was to be created. The first thing that God did was create. He created something that wasn't there, and he touched. I like how some preachers say that he reached into nothing and touched nothing and created everything, right? So knowing that we are children of God and have the ability to take the substance that he has given us and to use it in creative ways to build and create it. That's how it starts. You have to believe that it's possible and know that if it's within you to come out, then you have to continue to push forward.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: it may not necessarily work the first time, but as we continue to build, reiterate, and continue to try and fail forward and try, that's how we move forward. That's how we create what's not there, right? I like the second person leadership thing, right? There's one person that get out and they do something. It may not look like it's working, but then when the others catch on, then you have a movement.
Yeah.
It wasn't there first, but somebody believed that it was possible.
Yes.
Stood out. They stepped out. It seemed crazy at first, but then, it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Couple of things. I was thinking about this and just, and one of the things I think we do, sometimes we small size what God has revealed to us. I want to say that again. We small size what he has revealed to us because of our small faith. Where he is telling us to do it and do it big, we shrink it. We shrink it, and we often put him in a box because we can't believe past our experience, past what we know, past what we've seen. He told Noah to build a big boat when he had never seen a boat before, when he had never seen rain before. And Noah, because of his belief in a big God that can do all things but fail, he set out to do it. Because he believed in a big God who has all the power. The second part, in his instructions to Noah, he says, add pitch. Because in essence, he was telling Noah, you need to fortify the boat. What you are building will have to be secure. It will have to withstand the storms of this life. It will have to withstand the flood waters. It will have to withstand troubles and withstand naysayers and withstand doubters. It will have to withstand the delays and things happening. It will have to withstand the test of time. And so add something to it. He says add the pitch to it. Because the dream that God has given us will have to be able to withstand things that will cause you to doubt it. things that will cause you to forfeit, things that will cause you to shrink what he told you should be big. Add a little bit of pitch to it.
You know, I like that, because what comes to mind is we have to make sure that we take time to build it right.
Yeah, that's it.
You can imagine what Noah was going through, having to invent tools that didn't exist,
Mm-hmm.
becoming a master craftsman, and using the natural resources available, taking time to build it right. Have to be thoughtful. I talked about in the beginning of iteration, I think it was probably his, in that example, his tools that he was iterating with, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he had to get it right, he couldn't afford to build it wrong, because one, he didn't have nothing to test it against.
That's it. Yeah.
And it took patience and sacrifice to make sure that he got it right.
Mm-hmm.
He had to forfeit time with family. He had to forfeit time with friends. It wasn't no cookouts and all the other kind of stuff, right? It took him being focused on mission,
Mm-hmm.
to do what God had told him to do and to build it right.
Mm-hmm.
So when the test comes, it can pass, it can sustain, but not only does it sustain in terms of structure, but it sustains in terms of the legacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
I think that's important when we're talking about building, and especially for the right reasons. We have to take time to build it right, and we have to do it with patience and diligence.
Yeah, yeah. You know, when you look at Noah, a couple things that come to mind that we've talked about before. The fact that he was obedient, he was consistent, he was disciplined, and the last thing that you pointed out, Noah realized wasn't just about him. Because the Bible says, after he had completed it, he invited, or he brought in, not just Noah, but his family. Legacy. God prepared him for the moment, created the environment, gave instructions, and then he simply said, now just do it. And what I've come to realize is that sometimes we have to do it when it don't make sense. You have to do it scared. You have to do it hurt or depressed. You have to do it with tears in your eyes. Do it when you're uncertain. Do it when no one else believes. You just do it.
I want to add to that, and this would be my concluding thought here. Build based on your beliefs, but make sure that you believe big enough to build something worthwhile. Because we only get one life to do it.
Yeah.
And if you, I assure you, if you continue to build and you continue to believe, then God will send every single resource that you need He will make every way possible as long as you stay faithful and diligent to the thing that he's called you to do. Build something amazing. Build something big. Scale the thoughts. Because remember what he said. He said not only that I can do it, but I can do it exceedingly, abundantly, above all that you can ask or think. So Lord, help me to increase my thinking. Help me to increase my scale. And then you exceed that. And I think if we go into that place when we're building, then we'll see something absolutely amazing.
That's it. I love it. We're going to just stop at that point because I think that's a great stopping point. But I want you, our listening audience, to affirm with us that I will build it, and I will build it big. I will just do it. That's our thought on this Transformation Thursday. See you next week.